First thing that I need everyone to do is you need to go to Shobi and you need to go ahead and grab the Exerting Forces lab. The Exerting Forces lab looks like what's up on the screen. It's in Shobi. I'd like for you to get it from Shobi and send it over to Notability in your Labs tab. Send it over to Notability in your Labs tab. We're going to be doing the lab all in Notability, and then when I return from Boston, we will then be submitting it after we do some whiteboarding with it. If for some reason you don't have an iPad today, the substitute does have some paper copies. Just ask for the paper copy. If the substitute would walk around and just make sure everyone has this document up on their iPad and just show the sub so it makes it easy so we can move forward with our stations. Now, what you're going to be looking at in this lab is we're going to be investigating a variety of forces. Okay, we now know what the forces are. We're not only going to look at the strength of those forces, amounts of those forces, but also the effects on different objects. So what we're going to be doing today is looking at different objects and how it affects those objects. We'll be changing our receiver. So before we get moving with the instructions on this activity, what I'd like for you to do in Notability right now is I want you to answer the two brainstorm questions. First of all, how are you going to know when a force has been exerted or one has been exerted on you? And then second of all, what are some things that can happen to an object when a force acts on it? So if the substitute would pause the tape to allow students time to complete those two questions, that would be good. Now that you have the two questions for the top part of this, we know that we can feel forces. Often we can see the effects of those forces as well. Sometimes that effect may be a deformation or changing form, or it may change the way that it moves. It might speed it up, slow it down, or it could perhaps change the direction of it. And so in these different stations that you're going to go to, you're going to be looking at the force's effect on different objects. So let me go through the instructions of what to do on it, and then I will have a substitute kind of get you set up into your station group, similar to what we did the other day. So at most of the stations, the chart has been created for you, and what you're going to be doing is filling out the chart. The first thing that you want to do is you want to take a picture of the situation. When you take a picture in Notability, just go ahead and submit it here, just like we did with broom ball, and then you're going to draw all the force arrows on the picture. Now, you'll notice that we're going to be looking at two things. We're going to look at the forces on the hand, and then also we're going to be looking at the forces on the jar or container. So what you're going to do is you're going to color code everything. So this is going to be an example where you'll take a picture and it will have a bucket with water in it and your container and then the person's hand on top. Okay? So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you color code your forces. And so since I've already used red as my drawing, let me change the colors up here. If you want to look at the forces on your hand, then you're going to color code those and use some arrows and call it whatever force name it may be. There's probably going to be more than one. If you're looking at the forces on the jar, then once again, you'll change your color up and you'll draw those forces, and this would be the jar. And so once again, call it whatever it is. So this picture, this photograph that you're going to be taking, in Notability is going to be marked up, but the color coding is going to keep it straight. Then you're going to say, what is the name of that force? Now, feel free on this section, if you'd like, to write symbols. If you want to say FP, if you want to say FG, if you want to say any of those are completely fine to include. And then, what effect does the force have? So what effect does the force push have on the hand? Okay, does it push it up? Does it push it down? What happens? Once again, what effect does force gravity have on the hand? And then last, what is applying the force? What is the source of the force? So if I'm looking at force gravity, what is the source of forced gravity? And we've talked about this already. In this case, the source of forced gravity would be the Earth. What is the source of the push force, or whatever it may be? Once again, it is the source of the force, and here we're looking at what feels the force, okay? So once again, you're going to be taking a picture in Notability. You won't be drawing one, you'll actually take one, and you will color code each row of the chart. So you'll color code the hand, fill out all the forces acting on the hand, draw it on the picture, what effect those forces have, and then finally you'll go on to the jar and you'll do the exact same thing there. Now, the way you'll be moving around in stations is you will move exactly the same way that we did the other day. Okay, and there are 4 stations you're going to go to. First station you'll go to, some of you will start at the jar in the water. Okay, I have a block on a string, and I've only got one picture that you take there. The next one I have are 2 sheets of paper. You're actually going to be dropping those and drawing pictures, taking pictures, and then figuring out those forces. And then last, what you'll have is the book on a table, and you'll be looking at the forces acting on the table. You'll also look at the forces acting on the book. Now, the idea at this is once you finish the stations, I've got 3 analysis questions for you. And just like we talked about last class, I want you to certify that this is your own original work. Okay, and so the very last line on there is to sign off that this is your original work. I don't mind if you share pictures. I do mind if you share any of the content, any of the writing. This needs to be your original work. But of course, you'll be working in your pairs as well. Please wait for the substitute to tell you how you're going to set up your stations. And then also just please wait for the substitute to direct you when to rotate to the next station. And we always do a reset before we rotate. Good luck and have fun. And we will finish this up whenever I get back.